Good morning, everyone. I'm Crystal Rodriguez. I teach in the criminal justice program. I'm an associate professor, and I am a co-chair for the Educational and Professional Development Working Group, for this committee. Tiffany?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tiffany Dubanyard. I'm a student life specialist in civic engagement for the Office of Student Life, and I'm the chair for our marketing and communications working group. Ray?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Raymond Gonzalez. I'm actually coordinator for the Criminal Justice Program at BCC. I work out of the Academic Success Center, also provide advisement for a lot of our students who are part of the CUNY Justice Academy, also co-chair of the Education and Professional Development Work Group.
Hi, my name is Yvonne Arazo, and I am a student life specialist in the Office of Student Life. I'm the chair of the recruitment and retention work group here, and we're always looking for members. I do a variety of things. I'm sure you've heard my name tossed around, and if not, just come ask me what I do. Dijon?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dijon Parker. I am the Development Research Specialist in the Department of Development and Alumni Relations, and I head up the fundraising team. Anything regarding raising money for social justice, for justice impacted students. We have a number of scholarships here at the foundation, and one in particular, which we'll discuss later on, the Cleve Browder Scholarship, and anything regarding raising money and getting students what they really need. Nathan?
Thank you, Dijon. Hi, everyone. I'm Nathan Aiken. I am a college discovery counselor, and I teach in the psychology department. And I'm also the chair of the Community Connection Working Group here in Justice at BCC.
At this time, we're gonna allow our trainers, also Justice at BCC members, go ahead and introduce themselves. We're gonna start with Elizabeth.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Payams. I am the director of Future Now here at Bronx Community College, and also currently coordinating 3 classes that are taking place for incarcerated students. One is happening at Brookwood Correctional Facility in part of OCFS, and 2 are happening local at ACS, Juvenile Detention, Crossroads, and Horizon. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. Is Jose with us, or should we move on to Professor Cobb?
Oh, Jose is working with a student right now.
Got it.
So,
Okay.
sorry. Yeah.
No
Hello,
problem.
everyone. I'm Professor Cobb. I teach in the Social Sciences Department and the Human Services discipline, and I'm also the fieldwork coordinator for internship placements for students who are enrolled in the AAS Human Services Degree Program.
Thank you so much. So at this point in time, we have welcoming remarks from our president, Second Negby. So let me take you there.
Good morning. I am Thomas Sekinegbe, president of Bronx Community College. I want to welcome you all to today's session of Justice Information Training. The essence of today's forum is to update the training and information based on the experiences and questions from last year's training. It is my hope that everyone will leave today's session better informed and ready to serve as advocates on issues related to social justice. I want to express my thanks and appreciation to all members of the BCC Justice Committee for organizing this training. And also, I want to extend a special thanks and appreciation to Crystal Rodriguez for the invitation to say a few words today. Have a wonderful session and best wishes. Thank you.
Okay. So with our committee, Justice at BCC, advocating for those impacted by the legal system, we broadly define justice impacted as any student or their immediate family members who's been impacted by the criminal legal system. So for example, but this is not limited to any arrests, convictions, incarceration. If you feel that you've had some trauma after even like a situation as being pulled over or questioned, stop and frisk, those types of things. We're here to help and try to find the resources for those that were justice impacted. At this moment, we would like to invite students, faculty, staff, and administrators from all departments to join our working groups, to become members, or to take this training and spread the word about this training, just so we can have as many people knowledgeable around campus as possible, because we never know who we might be dealing with, what type of student we're dealing with. And we need to be conscious about the things that we say or how we act in front of the people that we're serving. Our vision is to strive to advance knowledge, awareness, and advocacy about social justice for our justice impacted campus members and the Bronx community. We currently have 5 working groups. You've heard from all of the chairs and co-chairs of each working group, and each one needs members. We're having meetings come up between this week and next week. So what I'll do at some point in the chat is we'll add all of the registration links for those working group meetings if you're interested in helping out by joining either our education and professional development group, fundraising, marketing and communication, recruitment and retention, or community connection. Our email address is justice@bcc.cuny.edu. So if there's any information that you heard of today and that you received and you would like more information on it, please feel free to shoot us an email, and I'll be more than happy to get you that information, add you to our working group, or add you to our listserv so you're aware of our upcoming meetings, in which we do have an upcoming general body meeting on December 9th. So if you want that information, please feel free to reach out to us. We also have a webpage on the BCC's website. So please check us out. We have the information for all of these training dates there. We also have the information for our general body meeting. Our mission, to create and maintain a welcoming, inclusive, and supportive community where justice impacted individuals thrive. We look to assist and contribute to the well-being of justice impacted individuals through academic, career, and mental health support services. We look to educate the campus community about challenges and develop solutions, to empower and advocate for the needs of justice impacted individuals, to assist justice impacted students with enrollment, financial aid, registration, academic and career advisement, to refer and connect students to campus and community resources, and to charge our administrators, faculty and staff, students and alumni, and partners of the college with the responsibility to work with one another to continuously build upon our social justice programming, practices, and initiatives. So in this point in time, let me go ahead and run this poll. We have 3 questions that we would like for you all to participate in and answer. So you'll see the polls pop up in a new display dialog box in front of you. And we're going to give you about a minute to go ahead and answer all of the questions. Awesome, awesome. 25% of you participated already. 50%. Great, great, great. Okay, we have about 30 seconds left. We have about 4 people left. Okay. Just a couple seconds left, and we only have about 3 people left. Okay, so we're getting ready to wrap up this poll. Thank you to the 75% of people that answered these questions. So our first question is, do you know of someone with a criminal record? About 89% of you said yes. And 11% of you said, no, not that I know of. Okay. Do you know of someone who is or was incarcerated? About 78% of you said yes, 22% said no. And our last question, do you know someone who is justice impacted? About 89% of you said yes, and 11% said that they're not aware. So we hope that, being that you may know someone with a criminal record or that's been incarcerated or that you believe is justice impacted, we really hope that you get something out of our training session that can help you and help them if this is a separate person from yourself. Okay.
Thank you, Tiffany. So I couldn't participate in the poll because I was a co-host. So I was one of the, 3, sorry.
Oh, no problem.
But yes to all of them for me. So to give you all some background on why we are hosting this training, it's because this time last year, and the president mentioned it, we received a training from College and Community Fellowship. So that's an organization that supports women who have been justice impacted, but they created a national training to help. Tiffany, just real quick, there's one more little box.
Yeah, it's about to go away. There.
Okay, thank you. They created a general training to offer organizations, companies, academic institutions, so that they can provide better services if they are working with justice impacted individuals. And so we received this training last year, actually in September of last year, and we learned so much. And based on what we've learned, we have taken some of that content and applied it directly to how to support our students here and our community here through this training. They want to raise awareness about trauma, motivational interviewing, and asset-based approaches. We'll be focusing on trauma in our second training and motivational interviewing in our third training date. They clarify federal, state, and local level policies. We'll be doing the same in our third training date. Discuss common challenges. Today, we'll talk about some general challenges and academic challenges that someone who's justice impacted may experience. Explain mitigation strategies to reduce those challenges. Throughout each training date, our goal is to inform you of some data, some information, and then also provide you with resources so that if you are not justice impacted and know someone who is, you can share these resources with them. And develop an implementation plan to integrate this evidence-based practices into our institution. This is what we're doing. We have a 5-year plan that we intend to update every year. And this is why we're looking for more members. And members can be students who attend BCC. They could be students who attend any CUNY, any college. It could be faculty or staff. So we appreciate everyone who is here today and who is willing to join our committee. Thank you, Tiffany. If you can go to the next one. So most of you, I would say, if we include myself in there, about 92% of us say that we know someone with a criminal record, right? And so that is significant. We know someone who is or was incarcerated. That's also significant, right? If we ourselves are not one. And we all know someone who is justice impacted. And we're defining, again, like Tiffany mentioned, justice impacted as it could be you or your immediate family members, right? And so let's put this in perspective. Why is this topic important? One, we all know someone pretty much who's justice impacted, but also the US has the highest rate of incarceration than any other country in the world. And that's a serious issue, right? We're the land of the free and opportunity, but commit a crime and you have this scarlet letter following you throughout the rest of your life, even if you've committed a crime at a very young age. Tiffany, if you can switch it to the next one. Let's put that in perspective. What's 2 million people. If any of you have ever been to Yankee Stadium, imagine every seat sold out times 36. That's how many people are incarcerated in the US. And we're only talking about prisons and jails. We're not talking about immigration detention. We're not talking about local lockups at police stations. We're not even adding those to the equation. And here we're not even adding juveniles. This is just adults who are included in this 2 million. Okay, so that's a significant number. That's a lot of people. And most individuals who are just impacted do not want to identify as such because there is stigma that's associated with this label. Tiff, if you want to switch it. So how many people are locked up in the US? Here's a pie chart that gives you a visual, right? What does this 2 million include? Well, really what I want you to pay attention to are local jails, right? Local jails, most of the individuals, over 60% are awaiting trial in jail. And many of you may know about Khalif, but if you don't, we're going to talk about him a little bit later. But he is one of those individuals who are awaiting trial for 3 years at Rikers and never convicted of the crime. So imagine this group of individuals who are not found guilty and are serving time. And if you look at the state prisons, right, some of the crimes, we can understand violent crimes, someone's incarcerated in a prison. But what we can't understand is property, drugs, and public order crimes. Those are not as serious, and yet we place these individuals in facilities. So adding those who are locked up in jails and prisons, plus probation, plus intermediate sanctions like boot camp, house arrest, electronic monitoring, plus jails, prisons, and actually we're missing one more, which is parole. There's actually 7 million people under correctional supervision right now. So that's more than some countries have altogether, right? So again, the 2 million plus probation, parole, intermediate sanctions, that's over 7 million people. So this is why this topic is important, right? If we're in this training, there's what, 12 of us? I would say most of us know someone, like we had seen in the polls that Tiffany provided. We all know someone or have been ourselves justice impacted. So if you can go to the next slide, Tiffany, please. So here's just some general information, but what has added to this incarceration, or this mass incarceration that we call it, it's the war on drugs, right? We have criminalized an issue where it should really receive treatment. We are tough on crimes. Republicans, Democrats, we've all started to say we don't want to be soft on crime, when in fact we want to be smart with crime. But these 3 strikes you're out, mandatory sentencing, determinate sentencing, all of that has added to the incarceration rates. And we're not just saying someone who's in jail and prison, but even net widening. Net widening is when, if anybody has ever gone fishing, I have not, but if you want to catch a lot of fish, you throw a net, right? And so you get as many fish as you can. Well, that's what's happening with probation. We're putting a lot of crimes, individuals who commit crimes under probation. And then if they fail at probation, now they get tossed in jail. And we'll learn a little bit about Khalif later, who was on probation. And because he violated his condition of release, arrested again, he lost his opportunity for bail, which is a problem, right? If he was never on probation, if a juvenile commits a crime, there should be other methods, not giving them probation. But these are all examples of what has contributed, and that's fine, has contributed to this era of mass incarceration. And mass incarceration has not touched all communities equally, right? If you look at this picture here, when we're looking at men, right? 1 in 9 men are likely to be incarcerated. But when we look at race and gender, right? 1 in 17 white men are likely to be incarcerated. But when we look at Black and Latinx, the numbers are significantly different. And this is a problem. When we're looking at women, right? 1 in 56 are likely to be incarcerated. But when we look at Black and Latinx, right? That numbers are significant. So what are we saying? That there's a racial impact on mass incarceration. And this is a problem. And this is why we want to inform everyone that mass incarceration is a problem, that we know a lot of people who are just impacted, and BCC serves mostly Black and Latino students, right? So if these numbers are accurate, then of course we all know someone or have been just impacted ourselves, right? Black men are 6 times more likely to be incarcerated than a white man. Latinos are 2.5 times more likely to be incarcerated. Unfortunate statistics for Black men in their 30s, 1 in every 12 are either in prison or in jail on a given day. And for children, 1 in 9 Black children have an incarcerated parent. And so this is why we define justice impacted so broadly, because if you have a parent who's incarcerated or a sibling, this impacts you as well. Right. If you want to change it to the next one. Okay. So a little bit more on data. And why is this data important? Because it shows that we're not the only ones who know individuals who are justice impacted, right? Justice impacted individuals come from communities that don't have a lot of resources. And this is why our committee exists. We want to offer resources. If we know any, we want to share them. If we don't have the answer, we want to find organizations that may. 2/3 or 64% of all Americans have a family member who was incarcerated. 6.5 million, 1 in every 36. So on average, there's about, 30 to 35 students in a class. So in each class, there's at least one student who has a family member incarcerated, to put that in perspective, right? And 1 in every 28 children, not including race, have an incarcerated parent. Again, this is why we define justice impacted so broadly, because we all have experiences with individuals who are justice impacted. So now, yeah, go ahead.
No, actually, you can talk while I put up the Jamboard.
Oh, sure.
Mhm.
So now we're going to put up a Jamboard because we want everyone to think about what are some challenges that a justice impacted individual may experience. It could be general challenges, it could be academic challenges, personal, professional, whatever you can think of. And Tiffany will pull up the Jamboard so that we could all write in this.
I just added the link to the chat for everyone. And let me pull up the Jamboard so you all see what we're talking about. So if you can all see the Jamboard on your screen right now, to the left of the screen, you'll see options that say sticky note. That's what you want to grab, is a sticky note. And then a new dialogue with a little sticky note will pop up, and you can go ahead and write your response to the question, which is, what do you think are some challenges for justice impacted individuals? So we have one, finding a job. Thank you. And I'll move them around so you don't have to worry about placement. I can work on the placement for you. Housing. Awesome. And if for whatever reason, maybe you're having some issues getting on Jamboard, or you're on your mobile device, if you would like to answer the question, you can feel free to answer the question in the chat. And one of our executive board members can add that response as a sticky note in the Jamboard. Oh, you're all coming in. Awesome, awesome. I know, like, these responses aren't awesome per se. I more so mean your engagement. Thank you. Yes, all of these are valid. So just to read over a few, we have finding a job can be an issue, right? Adjusting to society, scholarships or financial support for school, being able to vote, recovering from trauma, big one, making a better life when coming out of prison, living with the stigma, family support or lack of support, connecting with family and friends after incarceration, not knowing their rights, lack of support, advancing in careers. Absolutely. And Crystal, remind me, are we, is this the one Jamboard for today?
Yeah, I believe so.
Right? Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna
Just
look
wanted to
through.
make sure.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. And then the other ones are for the other days.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else before? Oh, awesome. Being able to vote. Yep, I see that. Okay. All right, let me bring you back to the PowerPoint. Or does any of my other colleagues have anything to say about the Jamboard before we move on?
No, those
Okay.
are great. Mhm.
So you all offered some really great insight in there. I'll briefly discuss some of those general challenges that a lot of our students are definitely being faced with. There are numerous interconnected challenges, as kind of you've seen there, that our justice impacted or our returning citizens face upon release from prison if they were incarcerated. And it makes their journey towards a successful reintegration into community ridiculously difficult, if not impossible. So, one of the top challenges, as you already mentioned, would be finding employment. There's a lot of employers out there that will not hire people with the criminal records. People often leave prison without the education, sometimes going in without the proper education and basic skills that they need to get a job, to maintain a job. And they don't get those skills while they're in there. Even when they do find a job, these positions are probably at a lower than ideal wage, less than a living wage. The employers may exploit the leverage they may have in terms of, their former incarceration status and use it to subject them to ridiculously harsh working conditions, excessive working hours, things like that, that would definitely pose an increased challenge for them and may just deter them from consistently going for, a better job or just pursuing the work ethic and maybe falling back um, into a life of crime. It's always a possibility. Closely related to the employment is their housing issue. If a person is coming out of prison and they're not able to stay with a family, with a friend, it can be near impossible to find a place that provides enough stability for them to maintain the employment, maybe pursue educational aspirations or even just regular day-to-day tasks. Some justice impacted people who have had bad experiences with shelters choose not to even go there after release, which is a lot of times become their only option. So they are released into the world to be homeless. What do you do to, try and provide for yourself if you have no mailing address? You don't have access to technology so that you can apply for a position. You don't have access to actually, clothing, dressing for success, to go for an interview. These are all factors that kind of tie into it. The challenges that justice impacted face with employment housing can be further intensified if they have any kind of mental health or addiction issues, if they're not, adequately addressed while they're inside the prison system. If they're not seeking professional help in there for their addiction or whatever, mental issues that they may have, they go in with that same issue and come out with it, if not the same, worse. People with felony drug convictions, for example, are banned in many states from receiving welfare and food stamps. Formerly incarcerated individuals often struggle to get their IDs, which in turn affects their ability to vote. Now, not all states grant released individuals to have access to voting or to even serve on a jury. They have to go through like a really drawn out process just to even get access to a lot of these things. So these are some of the things that we would definitely like to, hope address and change. Because when it comes down to it, these are some of the factors in the system and in a policy level that play a role of keeping a person from, again, reintegrating and contributing back to the community that they're in. Some people released from prison, they may have certain parole requirements that they have to meet, or they're back in jail again. That again, it becomes kind of a domino effect. It would affect their ability to maybe attend certain classes, maybe getting their work if the work shift is only available from, in the evening, and they have to check in with a parole, person at 6 7 p.m. How are you going to work, make that money to maintain this home that you've luckily gotten into, but you have to satisfy those parole requirements? That is a kind of thing that's looming over their head. uh, this, and again, that all kind of cycles back together with the reestablishing relationships within every day-to-day things that we take for granted as well. Now, despite these uphill battles justice impacted individuals face, they should not be written off as a lost cause. They have lots of skills and strengths and talents that can help them succeed in the community. They just need the proper encouragement and to be directed and guided properly. Um, Court fees and restitutions, credit debt related issues, all that stuff. Again, if they can't maintain a job, they can't pay off these debts. Tiff, we can move on to the next one. Now, in regards to the academic challenges that formerly incarcerated may encounter while they're in the college setting is the collection of their documents needed a lot of times to apply. If they have been incarcerated for an extended period of time, they may not have access to this documentation. If they are having kind of an adverse relationship with those family members who don't want to accept them back into home, how are they going to have access to them or get that help from family members? Maybe they're just not aware of it. So this can present, a big challenge in just even them getting back to their education. If they were lucky enough to be in a college before they were incarcerated, they may have racked up some school debt. And while they're inside, that debt does not disappear. It still stays there, it accumulates, and with interest. So when you come out, again, cycling back to the last slide of what I mentioned, the difficulty in getting a job. You can't get a job, you can't pay off these other debts. It all piles on. A lot of these students can be first generation. They may not have anyone in their homes that, shows as a bit of a role model. Hey, you can get into higher ed, you can get your degree and you can be successful. They don't have that person to look up to seek information, answers to their basic questions, and they are already at a disadvantage. Some of our folks that may have been formerly incarcerated may have just been at a disadvantage in general because we are aware of other socioeconomic issues that affect them on the education level. And I'm talking from, their elementary level. They might not have gotten the proper guidance in terms of their reading, their writing, and their arithmetics. So they require a little bit more, remedial work. So they're already coming in at that disadvantage if they aren't able to get into higher ed. All those challenges that I mentioned earlier can wreak havoc on your ego, on your pride, if you are a person or part of this population. So that could definitely affect your confidence in approaching offices for help, or anyone for that matter, approaching them for help. A lot of folks don't want to, disclose their previous, status, and they just don't want to, approach an office to seek that assistance. And that's something that through these trainings and through the Justice at BCC group in general, we are trying to change that way of thinking, both for, our returning citizens and as well as for the faculty and staff here at BCC. Like so many other industries in the past 2 years, due to the pandemic, there's been a reduction in staff. We are losing people that are not being refilled their positions. So that in turn means that those that are still in the college, advisors, your student life folks, professors, you're dealing with a larger number of students, and you can't provide that kind of one-on-one or hands-on for those part of this community that might need that extra bit of help, that extra resource. So they kind of become victims to circumstance. If these individuals don't have that much in terms of reading and writing skills or the technical skills, they may need that extra level of support to help them get up to speed. If an individual's been incarcerated for, over a decade, 2 decades, when they went in, technology was at a much different point than what it is now. And that becomes another hurdle that they have to try to make their way over. As I mentioned with the academic advisement, major selection, and career advisement, I feel like they kind of nested together in terms of we may have folks in those areas who are overwhelmed. They're just not able to, again, address with the attention that it needs to help our folks who are returning citizens. They may not have the training or, awareness that a person may be going through something different who was formerly incarcerated versus someone who's living at home with mom and dad. Same way it's different for someone who is a working parent. Once you add that element of being justice impacted, it is something that needs a certain attention of detail to it. So these are just some of the challenges that students who are justice impacted can endure, both in a general and academic sense. And this is another opportunity for us to invite you to come to our general board meetings. On December 9th, we have one upcoming. Is that correct? I believe that's from 11 to 1, correct? All right, good.
Yes.
I see my executive board members are agreeing with that. So definitely, if you know someone who's justice impacted, if you're as interested as well, please come on over. You know, we are always welcoming new folks to come in and be a part of the conversation. I think at this point, we are turning it over to our folks over in Future Now. Elizabeth? Did we lose Elizabeth?
You're on mute, Elizabeth.
Very sorry, my internet dropped me, but I'm here. I'm back.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you. Okay, so is that, oh, so I'm up. I'm next, right? Thank you so much. So Future Now was founded in 1998 on the campus of BCC. We basically worked at Rikers Island. I want to say 3 days out of the week and then 2 days in the office. So our mission was to meet the students while they were incarcerated, the young people in C-74 and C-76, and help them continue once they were released. So as a result of that, we were able to help a lot of people. Right now, we've given over 9,000 GEDs to a lot of the residents in the Bronx, and about half of those have gone on to BCC and graduated with their associate's degree. At the moment, thanks to our student Khalif Browder, who maybe a lot of you know, the students who used to go to Rikers, who were 17 and 18-year-old, are no longer going to Rikers Island because of his advocacy and other things, the horrible things that happened to him. So the decision was that they are now part of ACS detention. So this is the reason why we are now teaching classes at ACS and also in OCFS. So without Khalif, none of these things would have happened. Because prior to that, you know, everybody was being sent to Rikers, and that is one of the most traumatic things that can happen to a young person. Our classes are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Those are the GED classes. We have about a caseload of about 700 students who are attending Bronx Community College at the moment. And those classes are every day, right? So they don't stop. But we also have a partnership with the Department of Education. They provide 4 teachers, a guidance counselor, and all the materials that we use to teach the students free of charge. We're constantly recruiting tutors. And the other thing that I think is unique about Future Now is that most of the staff graduated from Future Now. They got a GED with us, and then they went on to graduate from BCC, and now they work as teachers, tutors, and college advisors at Future Now. That is the link. If you know anybody that needs a GED, that is between ages 16 to 24, and would like to complete their high school education, they can click. We'll contact you within 24 hours. And we have online classes at the moment and also in-person classes. For the in-person classes, you have to be fully vaccinated to be able to access, you know, the campus. For the online classes, you basically just need show up every day, and classes are going on online in the morning and in the afternoon. Yes, so we are here to work with all the students. Khalif, yeah. So I can say a little bit about him. He came to Future Now soon after he was released from Rikers, but I hate to say this, but all the damage have been done already. I want to say Khalif went into Rikers Island. He was not mental health and came back with mental health issues and a lot of medication. He had a goal. His goal was to prevent what happened to him from happening to anybody else. And he gave his life, you know, trying this. And my only wish is that he could see all the good that has happened, right? And how many students are now benefiting from his courage, his ability to speak up. So he was basically mistreated because he would not plead guilty. Khalif didn't steal that book bag. He didn't, I mean, you guys can also see the story in Netflix. And the title is Time, the Khalif Browder story, and then you'll be able to have a better picture than what we can give you today. But he was accused of stealing a book bag. And as Crystal mentioned before, he was not, he waited, thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. He waited 3 years for a trial that never happened because then everything was dismissed. The person that accused him accused the wrong person. He was told that you'll be home the next day. And don't worry about it. And it took 3 years for him to go home. His mom also lost her life a year later. And she also continued to advocate for young people in for bail reform and also to close Rikers Island, which is known as the Island of Terror. You know, and we continue that struggle. Rikers continue to be open, but the good news, like I said before, is that young people are no longer going to that system. They are now being seen by family court in juvenile detention. Dijon, thank you. Yes, we can move on to Dijon, guys. Any questions you have, Khalif, we're here to answer them at the end. Thank you.
So after Khalif's passing, we actually worked with his family to create the scholarship in his memory and to create a stream of funding specifically for students who are impacted by the justice system. So the scholarship has been active for about 5 years at this point. Originally, it was directed to those students who faced incarceration only, but in the last couple of years, we expanded the criteria to include those who have a parent, guardian, or relative who was impacted by the justice system. As we know, not only the individual who has been incarcerated is affected, but also their family members, their friends, their loved ones are also affected. So the Khalif Browder Memorial Scholarship is a scholarship of $2,500. The student has to be enrolled at BCC and in good academic standing. Full-time students need to have completed at least a minimum of 12 credits or hours, and part-time students have to be on track to graduate the next academic year. We do give preference to full-time students. And you have to have at least 2 semesters left at BCC, and this is because the scholarship is distributed over the course of the academic year. So $1,250 is given in the fall, and another $1,250 is given in the spring semester. And we also give preference to students who are currently or formerly in foster care. But it's not a requirement, but it's just something that is taken into consideration during the scholarship application. And there is an essay that's required to describe how and why Khalif Browder's story resonates with you, and how would receiving his scholarship help you advance your academic and professional goals. So this is a good opportunity to talk about your experience. And we know that so many students and so many just people in general who have had run-ins with the law or who have been justice involved, they kind of shrink and kind of hide and don't want to talk about their experience. But this is the one time where actually speaking about it and, you know, revealing that you've had that experience is a good thing, and it is rewarding, as opposed to, you know, what we talked about earlier, where there's so many stigmas and there's so much discrimination against people who are justice impacted. Our application will open in the spring semester. So in January, keep an eye out on your email and on our website, because we will have the new Khalif Browder Memorial Scholarship open, and it will be open for everyone to apply. So we look forward to receiving as many applications as possible so we can give out this money. I'll turn it over to Crystal.
Yeah, thank you, Dejan. Thank you for mentioning that. And as we stated in the beginning, the purpose of this presentation is also to share resources. And so Professor Cobb is going to chat about the Navigator Certificate Program that he advocated for and got passed at BCC. So I'm excited that he will share this information.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So the Navigator certificate program fits into a larger initiative, you know, in many academic circles to provide students who are interested in a college education what they call stackable credits, right? Some of it is bringing in past experiences, and certificates is one of those pathways that encourage students and give them a leg up when they come to BCC, specific to the Navigator. But the Navigator certificate connects very well with a lot of the justice initiatives that are going on. And many individuals who have been justice impacted, involved in the criminal justice system, have taken this certificate. And what it does is that it's an academic program where you would get training, get the certification. And if you choose to come to Bronx Community College and enroll in the Human Services program, you would get 6 stackable credits, right? For our Introduction to Human Services and Social Welfare Institutions course, which is a HSC 10, and our HSC 12 course, which is Human Service Methods and Skills. And the other good thing about it, if you continue on to John Jay, then those stackable credits carry over into a 4-year degree. So it's a way of introducing a more focused approach in academia to understanding the plights and the struggles of people who have been justice impacted, as you've heard today during the presentation. Now, we did our first orientation in collaboration with the admissions department over the summer, and it was very successful, and we're hoping to duplicate that. So you might be hearing other opportunities to get a broader presentation about the Navigator from the Navigator positions of John Jay. So we did an orientation where John Jay presented the certificate program. I presented the Human Service program, and students were able to enroll in the college based on, you know, understanding how it would allow them to enter into the Human Services program. So if you have any questions, you can email me, and I will be more than happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Professor Cobb. And like you mentioned, the program starts at John Jay, and BCC is one of, I believe, 4. It's BMCC, LaGuardia, BCC that also have this Navigator certificate. What I also wanted to mention was Good Call, if any of you ever heard of it. It's a hotline that was created out of the Robin Hood Foundation. To give you guys a little bit of background, I'll put the number and the link into the chat box in a few. But if anyone is ever arrested, everything is taken away from you. Your phone, your wallet, and I don't know about any of you, but I do not remember anyone's number at all. Like, you tell me to call my mom, I have no idea. All I know is mom on my smartphone, right? Or brother on my smartphone. I don't know anyone's number. And so that was a serious issue when this organization was created. It's a hotline, it's not an organization, but it's an organization because they have now moved from just the Bronx to all over New York, and their goal is to then spread across the US. And what's the issue? We need individuals who don't have resources to get connected with a lawyer as soon as they are arrested. Okay, so when we go back to Khalif's example that Elizabeth mentioned, Khalif was 16 years old. Whether or not he knew his rights, he didn't have a parent present, he didn't have a lawyer present during questioning, right? And many of us, you could be studying criminal justice for 10 years, you get arrested, everything goes out the window. And so this hotline, if you don't remember any number at all, remember this number, 1-833-3-GOOD-CALL, because you get one call when you're arrested. When you call Good Call, they connect you within 32 seconds to a free attorney. It's usually with the Bronx Defender's Office, legal aid, and that attorney will remind you that you have a right to remain silent, that anything you say can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and if you cannot afford one is provided to you, right? And because in a moment when you're arrested, literally everything goes out the window, and they will advocate for you. They will remind you that you may be in lockup for a day or two, but that they will show up to your initial appearance. Initial appearance is the first time you see a judge, where you will be offered bail or ROR. And in order to get bail or ROR, a lot of times judges look at who's in the audience at the court. So if your family is present, if friends are present, if teachers are present, right, it shows that you're connected to the community. And what Good Call does is once you call this number, they'll say, who do you want us to contact? And they will send a text to whoever you tell them to. Remember, you only get one phone call. So if they send out a mass text to 2 or 3 family members, those family members will know, 1, what precinct you're located at, 2, when your initial appearance is, so they can be present. If you go onto the website, you can register yourself and any family members. I've registered myself, my nieces, my nephews, anyone who is 16 and over. You can register anybody. But what that does is the second you call and need them, it's kind of like insurance. You hope to never need them, but you have them. If I were to ever get arrested, I'm going to call them first, so that they can notify my family. I can speak to an attorney to remind me of my rights, and that attorney will be present on the first court meeting. Again, this was created because a lot of people in the Bronx don't have the resources to have an attorney present. And this hotline has helped so many individuals. So if you have a chance, check it out. It's free. They don't do anything with your information, but unless you call and need them to contact your family members. And in that website, oh, thank you, Yvonne. On that website, you can mention who you want to call. Like you want them to call your mom, your grandmother, your brother, someone who will answer the actual call or text, right? Or look at it. So I wanted to provide this to you all, or we rather wanted to provide it to you as a resource that if you've never been arrested, great. But if you have, or don't know if you ever will, because things happen, right? Remember this number, register online, and it's a free resource that is available 24/7 all year long. So just wanted to put that out there to all of you. If we can go on to the next one. So before we go on to questions, we'd like to take a minute to fill out the satisfaction survey. So this is our first day of the training. We have 2 others on the next 2 Fridays, November 11th and November 18th. But we want to always improve our training. So if you can take a minute, I will drop it in the chat box. If you could take a minute, you can fill this out on your phone, on your computer. You can fill it out now. We'll give about 2 to 3 minutes. It just asks your general perception of this training. And if there's anything that you recommend that we improve on, we take this and we work on it. Our goal is to include all of your recommendations. So we'll give you all